Hey guys, it's Travis Tooke here, and in this video I want to talk to you a little bit about what it takes to get your black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and about how long you can expect to wait. A lot of people, when they talk about getting their black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, when Jiu-Jitsu was kind of new, everybody talked about like the minimum was a 10-year mark. You got to train 10 to 12, even 15 years before you're ready for black belt. Then you have some guys come along, get it in less time, 7 years, and then 5 years, and now you have people getting it between 3 and 4 years. And what I want to talk about in this video today is basically what I think is you shouldn't really talk so much about years, but you should talk about hours on the mat and the quality of those hours. So if you think about it, 10 years of training coming to an average of 3 to 4 classes per week is a lot less training than 3 years of training coming to class 11 times per week, all right? And a lot of people, if you talk to people that are in the game, and it doesn't really matter what belt they are. I mean, maybe if they're like purple or above, you say, well, how long have you been training? And you get different answers, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. But the truth is very few people train daily, and even less train more than one time per day. So I understand that not everyone can train 2 times a day, 5, 6 days a week, but like I said, that will make a huge difference in your progression, okay? The ability to be on the mat, and not just, the hours on the mat, but the quality of those hours on the mat, okay? So that's what I want to talk about right now too, is the quality of the hours on the mat. Just coming to class and being on the mat does not necessarily mean that you will be getting great quality training. And that's extremely important, because if you're not getting the quality training when you're on the mat, just physically being there is not necessarily going to make you that much better and accelerate your rate of achieving your black belt. So a couple of things you should ask yourself. While you're training, are you drilling your techniques enough that by the time you leave, every technique that you work in, you come to class and you have your, the itinerary for the day. Okay, we do our warm up, and then we're going to drill these techniques, and then, we're going to spar or however it is you do it. But are you getting enough drilling in that class that you thoroughly understand the technique well enough to try it? Go for it like in live sparring. Are you finding time to review that technique? Okay, because it's not often that you can come in and work a technique just one time and have it down, mastered. You have to review it. You have to find time with a training partner or with your coach or however you do it to review that particular technique. Are you writing it down? Taking notes is something that very few people do, but the ones that do it progress faster and more importantly, they understand the techniques better. So do you take notes? Important question. And are you attempting and trying these techniques out in practice? I've seen this very often with students. They come in, they learn more, another technique, they learn something that could help them improve their game, and then whenever it's sparring time, they don't go for it at all. They just want to go for what they're good at. So if they're working, guard passing, and they start sparring, they immediately pull guard and make no attempt to, be on top and work the techniques. And a lot of it is ego, a lot of it is just about being comfortable. The bottom line is, when you're training and you're trying to get better, you should be uncomfortable. You should be trying things that you are not comfortable with until you are comfortable with them. So those are a couple, important things that you need to remember when trying to master, a technique that you're learning in class. You got to drill it enough. You have to find time to review, take notes on it, and go for it while you're sparring, okay? Now, another thing to think about when we talk about quality of the hours that you're putting in. Think about this. A lot of people train several times per week, but you're the only one that really knows. You have to be honest with yourself. How often do you come in late? How often do you leave early? Are you engaging in small talk during class? This is very common. Do 1 or 2 reps, 3 reps with your buddy you partnered up with, and then before long, you're no longer focused on that move. You're talking. Hey man, how was your weekend? What'd you do this weekend? Hey, are you going to the fights this weekend? What are you doing? You're getting together Saturday. And then you can even do that. I've seen people, you can even do that while you're doing the technique. But are you really engaged and focused on what you're doing and thinking about the details and what makes that particular technique work? Or are you just going through the motions, enjoying small talk with your buddy, and waiting for the time to get to do the fun stuff, the sparring? Because that's what a lot of people do. So that's something I wouldn't really consider quality mat time. Sure, you're moving and you're doing the techniques, but are you asking yourself questions like, okay, exactly what makes this move work? What is the control? What is the leverage that I have here that is making this work? What am I in danger of? What can my opponent potentially do? If it's a much stronger opponent or somebody, who has a different body size, will this move work the same, or will I have to modify my position and my technique? All things you should be thinking about when you're doing. But most people don't do that. Like I said, we go through the motions because when we go to practice, what's the fun part? The sparring or, positional sparring, different games that we can play. But the drilling is so important. You will learn so much during drilling that sometimes it's not just learning a new move, it's just a detail that maybe you didn't pick up on before, where if you're not paying attention and you're not focusing 100% laser beam focused on that move of the day, then you might miss it, and then when it comes sparring time, you go and do it the exact same way. And think about that. Have you ever been in practice and you learn a move that you already know? So before the instructor even finishes showing the technique, you're already kind of daydreaming about, something different, because okay, I know this move, I'm just going to go through it and drill it, get it over with, versus maybe the instructor is going to show me a detail I didn't know before. Or maybe when I drill it, I'm going to be so focused, I will pick up a detail that I didn't know before. So those are some things you need to be thinking about. That's going to improve the quality of mat time. Remember I said it's hours on the mat and quality of those hours. It's not years training. A lot of people have been training 10, 15 years or more that are not black belts yet because they're either not coming to class consistently, or they take long breaks, or they're not doing these things during practice that can make such a big difference, okay? So here's a couple of other factors that I wanted you guys to think about. Quality of training partners. This is an important one. If you are the only one in class that is a high level and you don't have any training partners that can really push you, you might have to consider cross-training at another gym or doing a little bit of traveling and trying to find those partners that can really push you. You can still improve, but not at the rate that you would if you had training partners that could push you. You need people that can pass your guard. You need people that can sweep you. You need people that can tap you out. You need people that can force you to bring your game to a higher level in order to succeed against that person. What is the quality of instruction like? This is an important one, and this is a little bit controversial because not everybody wants to question their coaches or their trainers, but at the same time, we're in this to be as good as we can. And no instructor in the world is perfect or knows the entire game best. So I'm not suggesting that you have to leave your school. I'm suggesting that you make sure that you are looking, outside the box and getting the quality of instruction that is always elevating your game. You got to have your questions answered. And if your instructor is not able to do that for a particular technique or a particular game, then you need to make sure that you get those questions and problems resolved so that you can progress your game. And then there's other things like, are you doing your homework? Most people don't do this because something ingrained. We don't like to do our homework. We like to train and done. It's like school. We go to school and done. We don't want to do our homework. But in jiu-jitsu, we got to do homework too, okay? We have to do things outside the gym that is going to help us with our game, with our progression. So things like watching videos, and this is as easy as just watching like YouTube videos, watching competition footage, watching people that are successful at a high level who maybe have a similar game plan, similar style as you, or you studying their game, watching how they use it at the highest level. You watch instructional videos and study them and learn new techniques outside the realm of just what you learn in class. Like I said, not every instructor, there's no instructor that knows everything, and you will not be able to learn everything that there is out there just in your school. So you have to always be studying the successful people, watch instructional videos, see what else is out there. You go to seminars. Seminars are a great way to improve. When somebody comes into town, somebody high level, are you making a point to go to that, or do you just sort of, say, no, I'll just go to class, okay? And private lessons. Private lessons are a great way because now you get one-on-one with your instructor, whoever you're doing the private lesson with, that can take your game, break it down, see exactly how you do it, answer your specific questions, and work only with you to help you improve your game. So that's what I mean when I say, do your homework, do the extra things. If you're wanting to progress to black belt or at least black belt level, I know some instructors have a mindset that you're only going to get your black belt after a certain number of years, but at the very least, you still want to get to the highest level you can as fast as you can, okay? So again, not everybody is going to be able to do this, but for those of you that are interested or can at least add some of these ideas to your current training regimen, these are some things you can do. So like I said, that's some of the homework you can do outside of it. It doesn't take long. You don't have to dedicate a significant chunk of your day to doing it. But watching videos a few minutes a day, watching instructionals, on occasion, at least go to seminars and invest in private lessons. That's going to help you progress faster. Now, this next one is extremely important, and that is your overall conditioning. Okay, and I tell my students this all the time. No matter how technical you are, unless you're able to tap out everyone you go with before you run out of gas, then you will end up losing that match. So let's think about that for a second. You have so much technique. Maybe your technical ability is enough that you can tap out a lot of people in a short amount of time and you're not going to get winded or gas out. But then what about that person who maybe you're more technical than them, but they have the ability to survive and keep going. And they have a better gas tank than you, okay? And they can keep fighting longer. And as they, survive and keep moving, you're getting more and more tired, more and more winded, to the point that your technique is starting to get sloppy and you're starting to panic. And this person just survived, but they can keep pushing the pace. And I've seen it over and over again at all different levels in the MMA game, jiu-jitsu, white belt, all the way to black belt. And you'll even hear people saying, I was way more technical than that guy, but I gassed out. Well, then that person was better. I didn't say they were more technical, but for that time limit and for the rules in which you guys were, going against each other, that person was better, because it's not just about having more technique, but you have to be able to survive long enough and keep fighting long enough to win the match. So conditioning is a weapon. I know some people just think, I'm just going to get more technical, I don't want to invest in my conditioning, but in the long run, at black belt level, which is what we're talking about right here, everybody's got pretty great technique, and you have to be able to push the pace and go into the later minutes. Whether you compete or not, we want to be able to train for a long amount of time and still be have enough gas in the tank to be able to focus on our technique and execute those techniques, okay? So a great way to do this, obviously you should need to invest in your strength and conditioning. You should have a separate regimen that is not just training. I believe you should. Whether you like to lift weights or not, you should have at least some type of strength and conditioning program outside of your everyday training that will just help you improve your strength, your fitness level, and things that will help you while you're sparring or competing. A lot of people, they talk about today, I never pushed myself that hard. I gave 110%. And I love hearing that, because there's no such thing. 110% does not exist. The truth is, very few people have ever given 100%. So they don't know what it feels like. So when they go to that, when they start reaching that limit and they're almost collapsing, dying, and still trying to survive and hang in there, then they got close to pushing 100%. And then they just feel like they went above and beyond 100%. I did 110%. But there's no such thing. 100%, anything above it is you flatline, you pretty much die. Anything below it is your body's still able to keep going. So, and your body will let you know too. Again, I'm not a medical expert, I'm not a professional, I'm not a doctor. Don't take any advice that I'm giving you as good to go. You have to know your physical limitations, and you have to know, consult your own doctor if you have any heart conditions or anything that would keep you from doing that. But assuming you're in perfectly good health, most people don't push the pace or push the limitations and go as hard as they can on a regular basis. Because why? It's very uncomfortable, it's even painful. When you have the gi on, you're training and it's hot and you feel everything burning, and somebody's on top of you grinding, pushing the wind out of you, putting the knee right on, trying to choke you, trying to go for your arms, and you're defending your arms, you're defending your neck, and you're rolling, and there's pressure, and you can barely breathe, and you still have to get up and try to get back to your game. It's not comfortable, but guess what? It will make you better. And the next time that you find yourself in a situation like that, you will not panic as much because you've already done it. And then you do it again, and then it's still uncomfortable, but you're not going to panic and have this feeling like you're dying. You're just going to accept it. All right, this is it. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but I can still keep going, and I'm going to keep fighting. And that is a great way to build mental toughness and to keep getting better. And at that point, when you have no strength or speed left, all you have left is your technique. And it's a big test to see if your technical level at that point is going to allow you to continue to fight and win that match. All right? So I always like to say like this, you think about it, imagine like the most exhausted you've ever been, from training, where you're just like laying on the mat, dying, and then suddenly out of nowhere, a bear comes in the room and is going to chase you. Are you just going to lay there and die? It's like, I'm too tired. I have nothing left. But some people say that, I got nothing left. I don't want to train anymore. And a bear comes in. He's going to come up and kill you. Oh, kill me. I have nothing left. No. You're going to have this newfound sense of adrenaline. You're going to pop up and you're going to sprint to the door and you're going to keep running. And if that bear's chasing, you're going to keep running until he either catches you or you get away. But you're not going to quit, right? Same thing, like if you have kids and your children were in danger, in the same situation, you're completely exhausted, but something's endangering your child. You're just going to say, I wish I could save my child, but I'm just too exhausted. No, you're gonna fight to the death to do what you can to save your child. And I'm not talking about training to the death. I'm talking about, you'd be stopping way before that, but it might feel like you're close to death because of how exhausted you'll be. But again, conditioning is a weapon, okay? You have to have conditioning and you have to build in your mental toughness. Some people are well conditioned, but they're not mentally tough because they haven't pushed themselves to that level of exhaustion and still kept on training. And that is going to help you progress much faster toward reaching your black belt, all right? And the last thing I'm going to talk about, I know this video is getting a little bit long, but I feel this is extremely important for progressing at a faster rate, getting to your black belt faster, is your overall attitude. And I know this is something you probably heard a million times. You got to have a positive attitude and think positive thoughts, but the bottom line is not everybody has a positive attitude all the time, and you probably won't. I know myself included. I might have a bad day or a bad training session, and even if I try to tell myself positive thoughts, sometimes I'm just like, man, that sucked. I had a crappy practice today. But if that's you, it's not that you should never feel that way. You're going to feel that way at times, but you have to be able to get rid of that feeling quickly and turn yourself around, pick yourself up, and get ready to train again. And your attitude starts before class, it continues on during class, and you're going to try to maintain it again after class and all the way through to the next class. You have the best training partners in the world, the best coach, the best conditioning, but if your attitude sucks coming in, you will constantly be doubting yourself and mentally putting yourself down while you're training. Or the moment something goes bad. And think about it, if you've ever come to class with a crappy attitude and you're training and everything's okay, and then somebody flattens you out, they're about to pass your guard, and you already have that bad attitude, what's going on in your head? Oh, I suck. I made the same mistake I always do, and now they're flattening me out, and I was going to pass my guard. And then what? They pass your guard. I knew they were going to pass my guard because I suck. It's probably going to go for my arm now. So you subconsciously just leave your arm out, and then they grab your arm. Oh, I knew it, and you pretend to fight it, but you really don't give a crap, and then they tap you out, and you just roll your eyes, and then you have this I suck attitude. Well, if someone's going to tap you, they're going to tap you. But they should tap you only because they're better than you, not because your attitude sucked and you put yourself in this mental state that you're going to lose, okay? You have to be able to deal with a bad practice or a loss in a competition or outside external frustrations, other things going on in your life, and you have to be able to put them aside and focus on having a great attitude every time you come to practice and every time you show up on the competition floor. And this can be challenging because we all have our own personal lives and things that we do outside of grappling and jiu-jitsu that sometimes we bring with us to the mat. But it's like the old saying, goes, leave your ego at the door. Well, leave your crappy attitude at the door too. When you show up, if you want to have a bad attitude before and you show up, you have a good attitude. If you want to get that bad attitude whenever you leave, that's on you. But you've got to be productive and have a positive attitude while you're training and while you're on the mat, okay? So just remember that, okay? Never allow those negative thoughts to creep in. I don't care if somebody takes you down, past your guard, knee ride, mounts you, back mounts you, and gets the grips in and puts you in a bow and arrow choke and is stretching you out, but you're not choking yet. Your attitude, if you have a bad attitude as well, it's done. You just give up. Positive attitude, your only thought is, I don't care what happens, I'm going to do everything in my power to get out of this, and I'm going to do it, okay? Chokes you, chokes you. But you're not assuming you're going to lose that match ever, no matter what position you get into, up until you get a submission. So make sure you guys always bring that attitude of success. Bring that black belt attitude whenever you show up on the mat, okay? So, guys, that's pretty much it. That's just my thoughts on basically what it takes to get a black belt. Like I said, it's not years, but it is hours on the mat, plus the quality of those hours is going to equal your ability to get your black belt, all right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you can, take some of these ideas and start implementing them right away. And look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.